Welcome back, Front Porch Chronicles. I'm your host, Clinton Foshee. And, we talk about the struggles, the breakthroughs, the legacy we're trying to build. I got one of my day one brothers on here. I personally don't know what I would do without this man. He is my left hand man, right hand man, Tenny. Tenny, thank you so much for coming on, bro.
Hey, no problem, man. It's good to be here.
No, you got a lot of stuff going on. Let's get right into it. Where were you born and raised for the people? We're going to tell them about Lil Kenny.
Lil Kenny. So, I was born in Southern California, San Diego, and Balboa Hospital. And, yeah, I know the hospital. When I got older, my sister took me there and goes, "Hey, this is where you were born." I was like, "God dang!" But soon thereafter, moved to Italy, and I lived in Naples, Italy. I lived right on the coast, for some of my adolescence. But it was weird because I was in the coast, I was on Italy, but summers in the Philippines with my grandmother, and that was pretty cool because we lived Gilligan Island style, man. We lived in a hut on the beach. You want to open the window, you gotta push the flap out, put a stick. The whole shablam, and my grandmother had like fighting roosters, and it was straight up just no electricity, Filipino style. Then I came back to the United States, and I kind of lived all over the place in the United States. I lived in North Carolina, different parts of California. I've lived in Sacramento all the way down to San Diego and everywhere in between. But my dad was in the military, so I was in military school. So,
I'm glad you said it, because I was like, people going to think Papa was a Rolling Stone. You was all over the place.
My dad was a Rolling Stone, but in the streets. No, my dad was in the military. He served 3 tours in Vietnam. But yeah. So all that moving was when my parents were together. When I got when we came back to the United States, my parents split. Me moving around was for a different reason. It wasn't because of the military,
So how was life growing up?
Oh, man, it's almost like I grew up in I lived it's like my growing up, my childhood, my upbringing was 2 different worlds. One side of the world was, not just, no pun intended, like being in another part of the world, but growing up in a somewhat quasi-structured family in Italy, going to military school, and the rules there are different. Like when I was in military school, I've never seen someone not do their homework. Like when you show up in the morning, like public school in America, where like, hey, where's your homework? And, Timmy be like, man, school's for dummies. Dude, when I first came to public school in the United States, it gave me anxiety. I was like, this fool didn't do his homework? Is he insane? Because we were so about homework, physical fitness, just getting after everything, man. And then come to public school here, man, it was just like, it was crazy. It was a crazy contrast. So I had that structure, but when I was in the public school system here, I call it a system because that's what it is. But public school system here, hold on, let me tell you something. This is how wild military school was. Ask anyone who's went to a military or Department of Defense school out of the country, especially in Italy. Our buses, we didn't have like orange buses. The United States, they private contracted it out to whoever. So the best bus drivers would show up, get the contracts. So our buses back then, Benz, leathered out.
What?
Some of them had TV screens in them, man. Yeah, like multiple screens. And this before it was even big technology. They had the big, they try to get the best. We had the best everything. Even the food, they cooked it there. Like it was really like it was a kitchen and they actually cooked in the kitchen as opposed to, just heating up crap like they do nowadays. But that's the difference, man. And so coming here, my parents divorced, and I end up, running the streets, man, just, and so that's what I mean by it's 2 different worlds, because I went from being a very advanced student to just, essentially selling drugs, participating in street violence. And, but this took time. It took a few years, to fault for the wheels to come off and, and do see a lot of real bad things. But I will say this is what's crazy, because I was thinking about reflecting back on my life, and you got to go to therapy when you're jacked up like me. And so I remember like I'm out here hanging with a bunch of thugs, but I would still read the newspaper. I was odd to them, man. They're like, this fool. But I always like knowledge, man. So and I would say this, I know you didn't ask this, but the saving grace, one of the saving graces is that I was fortunate enough to see a different world outside the neighborhood. Like a lot of my friends, their entire lives were in our neighborhood. They've never Like they've never been out the neighborhood. Like one of my friends, he was in high school, was the first time leaving the hood, dude, in high school because he was on the basketball team, and he'd never seen a carpool lane before, and he was like, he thought the carpool lane was for people from out of town. You know, so if you're in LA and there's a carpool lane, those are people who don't live here. Like that's because he's always in the carpool lane when he'd go out of town. So that's the that's the type of folks I hung around with. But me, dude, I had lived around the world, dude. I've seen Mediterranean sunsets and eaten authentic Italian pizza, man. And I lived on the beach in Italy, and then I lived in the beach in the Philippines. You know, so I knew there was another world that was better. I know life could be better. But I was so broken and damaged, I was acting up. But fortunately, I was exposed to more, which I think made an impact. It made an impact.
Let me ask you this. What do you think drove you down that path of making, I hate to say bad choices because I feel like everything that we go through shapes who we are today. But what do you think led you to making, decisions that weren't the best during that time?
Hey man, I'll own it, dog. It's bad. Bad choices, you know, because I look at it this way, man. It's a reality. Even though I don't make excuses for anything I've done. You know, I'm ashamed of a lot of the things I've done during that time of my life, but they're bad choices, man. Like if you do things to harm people, and harm people, just leave it at harming people, that's a bad choice. There's no gray area with that, man. And so I think what caused me to do that way was an accumulation of, you know, my mother was hospitalized and she wasn't all there when she came out of the surgery. She had massive brain surgery. So I basically, you know, and my dad rejected us, like just left me and my sister. So the pain from abandonment, the pain from rejection, the pain from living in the streets, you know, like we had no food, man. We had no food. Local churches would feed us. The American Red Cross started feeding us. You know, I was in 7th grade wearing clothes from 5th grade, man. Like they didn't even fit anymore. I couldn't zip up my pants or button my pants. I mean, it was horrible, dude. It was. So when you get like that, what happens is you don't know, 'cause I couldn't internalize it. I began to just act out. I started not doing my work. Started staying out late. I had no parent telling me to be home. No one telling me anything, you know. And then, you know, gangs. There's a multi approach to it. Like my family's heavily involved in gangs, so I never had to get jumped in. You know, those are people who, I don't know. I mean, it's people who are not family involved. Like a lot, if your family is like generational gangs, and I have some family in the Black Guerrilla family. A lot of people never heard of that, but it's a organized crime organization, and or cartel, whatever you want to call it. So if you have generational stuff like that, you don't have to get jumped in. You don't have to do anything. So I just hung out with them, and it's like a surrogate family. They give you love. It's weird, man. You get love, but at the same time, and it's like that family union. You feel that they care about you, but at the same time, you're out there just destroying yourself, destroying other people, destroying the community. I look at it this way. I believe in God, and I really look back in retrospect, and I feel that is demonic, man. It's a demonic type of spirit. It's a demonic type of entity, and yeah. Like, do you mind if I just share a story with you real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like I got a friend of mine. Her name's Stacy Craig. It's a woman. You know, sometimes Stacy. You know, in the hood, it could be a man or a woman. Yeah. Stacy's cool, man, and she's actually a screenwriter, and she writes movies. She used to be one of the top writers at Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon don't just write kid shows. They write movies and all kinds of crap, and they sell it. But with that said, she and I were just talking about God, because she had rededicated her life to God. And we were talking about, because she's like, we were just talking about, I always tell her, I said, man, I've done so much wrong. Like, I can't, you know, when some people, things go wrong, they go, how could this happen to me, God? Yeah, you know, I can't, man. I've done too much. I'm in no position to question God. I can't hate on another person for being more blessed than me. So we're talking. She's like, really? Like, it's really, I go, dude, I gave her a light example. And this is the story I want to share with you. One time my cousin and I were just sitting around, my cousins, you know, like, there was this, I don't give away too many details. I don't even know if this is still a crime or whatever. We were hanging out.
Limitations, chat.
Yeah, no, because some stuff doesn't happen. I have to be very careful. And so like we were hanging out by this venue, and one of the top dope dealers in the area came whipping around in his sports car, right? And I'm very ashamed of this, by the way. Like, I'm not glorifying crime or anything. Like, this is something that ate me up for years. Like, he whipped around the corner and he was I'm pretty sure he was drunk driving, intoxicated. Those guys are always high and drunk. And he just crashed his car, like not even half a block from us. So we go over there, and this dude he's in a real bad way. He's bleeding out everywhere, and everything. And instead of calling 911, we just rob him. We literally rob him. We steal his car stereo, his money, everything he has on his car, and leave him. Leave him there to, things that happen,
Did they get him?
Who?
The ambulance. Or did he go?
I don't know. I've never seen him again after that. He was never around. But see, crap like that, man, like, that's the kind of things, like, I was 14 years old and I was with my cousins and I thought we were going to go help. And I just kind of went with it, and we just like uninstalled everything expensive out of his vehicle. Then, emptied his pockets and took everything else within his car and just left him. And I sometimes I look back at that and I'm like, that's evil, man. That's straight up evil, dude.
You've done some evil, but you've done a lot of great things. With that, have grace and mercy on yourself, because you've done a lot of positive things. Going into that, what do you think the biggest influence was for you during that time, either positive or negative, and how that shaped you?
Oh man, I think the biggest influence for it's weird because I had both pulling. Looking back, God was trying to do both. And so I had a friend of mine, his name's Wade Tavorn. Wade Tavorn II, or Wade Tavorn Jr. We call him Wade. He was a rapper, man, and he was my best friend. And I hate his rapping names. Like his names were just one of his rap times. He went by Trifle, and I'm like, dude, no one likes Trifle. That's a negative. He goes, yes, right. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying. But he didn't rap gangster. He rapped kind of like there was a time where hip hop was real clean and positive, man, where they're like Kid and Play style or Kwame.
Yeah,
and just kind of fun, He was like that style of rapper, and he had a very positive influence on me, and him and my sister, obviously, because my sister had to take care of me. She had to be my mother, because I didn't have one. And so my sister became my legal guardian, took care of me, and him and like he was the first person, because my sister was poor with me. We're in the same boat, so she'd always tell me happy birthday on my birthday. But Wade was the first person to actually just buy me something. He bought me a baseball hat, and we're just broke kids. There was a time Wade and I lived in an abandoned house together. Not abandoned, but what's it called, man? When the house is up for sale, but it's just sitting on the market, Vacant. So it wasn't like a crack house. It was nice, but we just lived in it. The market was
like, hey, it was nice.
It was nice, dog. Yeah. We literally lived in one of the rooms. We kept our stuff in the rear closet, and so we wanted no one to look from the front and think people were in it, But yeah, so Wade was my friend, and he had a very positive influence. He always told me to talked me out of doing a lot of bad things a lot of the times. But unfortunately, Wade himself was not a gang member. He was murdered also. And so his dad, when I had gotten married, his dad, I'm not married anymore for you ladies out there, just throwing it out there. But yeah, I'm out in the streets. Yeah, but Wade's dad was my best man at my wedding, man, and I put a memorial for him. But he was unfortunately murdered, out in the streets, and that also had an impact on me. That impact, it's crazy. It had a positive impact. It got me. That and the birth of my son happened within the same time frame. You gotta think, I had my son in high school. It changed me. It completely changed me. I felt like I lived 100 lives at that point, and seen enough death and carnage. I've just seen a lot of horrible things, and I had reached my peak. My best friend dying, that was like my cup overflowed of pain and confusion, and I said, I can't do this anymore. So those are the influences. But the bad influences, obviously, I'm sad to say, it was actually my own family. They were very involved in gangs, drugs, crime, everything from, I don't know if they'd listen to this, but look at the 10 Commandments, broke them all. All of them. A lot. All of them. I'm dead serious. Like, don't think, oh, this one too? Yeah, that one too.
No, I'm laughing. That fool said every one of them.
Every one. Multiple times, repeatedly. So, yeah, that's... That's
So going from there, when was it that you actually found jiu-jitsu, and did that help you have a positive, how did that help you have a positive impact?
Yeah, oh, that's crazy, man. That's interesting you say that. I actually, because as you know, I'm a small dude, man. You know, I'm petite, right? So, you know, standing 5'6", I weighed about 135 pounds, but I was always very strong. Like, I got receipts for this. I know this sounds crazy, but I had won a high school. I was at a continuation school called Vista P. This is in Bakersfield, and we used to call it Vista Penitentiary. It looks like a penitentiary, and it's for all the just kids that are bad. And I had gotten kicked out of there for getting in a fight and punching a teacher. But the teacher was an accident. The teacher got in between. It's like, hey, break it up. And the teacher said,
Collateral damage.
oh, yeah, man. Dude, I would become irrational, insane with a small guy complex back then. So I had dabbled in boxing and kickboxing because there's always someone in the hood and then helping you out or, you know, like teaching you how to fight and box. So I had to learn because I was so small, but I was 131 pounds at the time. I was 135 when I graduated, 131. I had won the school districts, the continuation school were part of the school district, were allowed in it. I had won the bench press. They had one where they count all three, but the individual bench press, I bench pressed 315 at 131 pounds. Yeah, dude. I was retard strength. Still have it, but you know, but it was crazy. I'm sorry, special needs strength. I think the world has changed. Special needs strength. But you know what I'm saying? Um, what? So I started looking in the book, man. Like, you know, there was a heavy influence when I wanted to, like, after I started, you know, leaning towards changing. Before my friend was murdered, already started looking for something else, man, to occupy my time. And I remember looking through the phone book. This is how long ago it was. I was looking through the phone book. And do you ever do this? You ever do this, Clinton, where you look through the phone book, like for martial arts? And it's like, you got to think, I'm in Bakersfield. And it's like, become a ninja. You know, it's just like a ninja.
Bruce Leroy.
Yeah. All these schools, these pages, they're like, a ninja.
And depending on how big the ad was.
Yeah. You're like, oh, they must be legit. They have a real ad, you know. And I looked through and I was like, I had enough wherewithal to think, there ain't no ninja in Bakersfield, man. This is country out. What would a ninja be doing here?
Look, there's a ninja, but there ain't no ninja.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's my ninja right there. So I remember doing that, man. And, you know, I got to give a plug. This guy had a very big impact on my life. Eric Nolan. He's in Bakersfield, California. He runs, and I didn't even mean to say this, but I got to say this. Eric Nolan, I think it's called Extreme Martial Arts. It used to be called Eric Nolan's Academy of Martial Arts, but I think he put Extreme on there because he's branched out into MMA and stuff. But that guy changed my life. He brought me in and he gave me a safe place that's where I actually started judo initially. And I started training under Gene LaBelle and Judo Gene. And we traveled up to LA to train with Judo Gene, but his black belt would go to Eric's school and just train as proxy. So then we'd go up there. And then I would have to dabble in jiu-jitsu because the first UFC happened. There weren't any jiu-jitsu schools anywhere, man. Like, you know, I had I had friends that were driving from Tulare, California, which is like deep central California, driving into LA or Orange County to be at the Gracie Barra school, the first Gracie Barra school, that was like a 4 or 5 hour drive, maybe 5 hour drive each way. And they were doing that 3-4 days a week. So that's when the real diehards came out, man. And I you know, I dabbled with them, but I was still doing judo. I dabbled in jiu-jitsu, but I was still doing judo. But I competed in jiu-jitsu tournaments, and Eric showed up as my coach, man. And that meant a lot to me because I didn't even have a dad around, you know. And Eric would show up. And no joke, man. I mean, I love Eric. I love you, Eric, but he reminded me of that bad coach on Karate Kid, dog. He even looked like him. He even had no sleeves. He wore one of those, dog. But the thing is, the difference with Eric is that he was nice to us, but don't mess with his students. Like, I'm at the tournament and somebody says something crazy to me. One of the coaches said something crazy while I'm on the mat. Like, told his student, "Oh, you got this." Eric's like, "What?" Like, a fight almost broke out in the tournament, and I was like, "Oh, this is my tribe, man." And then I eventually got over to, you know, Gracie Barra, and I trained back when it was one school, and I trained under a guy named Chingia, and Master Carlos would rotate in. Master Carlos Gracie Jr. would rotate in every few months like he does now. and I just never looked back, and that's always been my outlet, my outlet, for everything.
What drew you to Gracie Barra?
The first UFC, dude. Here's the thing: the first UFC happened, and I saw Royce Gracie, just beat the brakes off of everyone. A lot of people lost money on betting against him, because when you saw him come out, like, oh, man, that dude in the karate suit, man, that sumo wrestler's gonna smash him or whatever. No, dude, I thought Ken Shamrock was gonna win everything, right? Didn't you think so?
All the time.
Yeah, Ken Shamrock looked like Hercules, the action figure. If you put him in person, like, this dude looked like, and he looked mean as hell, man. He looked like
All
Rambo, First Blood. Yeah. And so after that, I wanted to get in with them, man. And I was like, who is this? And I knew that, there was a website called bjj.org. This was when the internet was new. It was so new. There was this lineages of jiu-jitsu, of who's who. And I saw a lot of people came under Gracie Barra. And at that time, they were dominating the world in almost any division from purple belt up, gold, just killing everybody. There was no one on their level. It was like Don Danaher's team, but back then. And I was like, I need to get on. And then all the big names like Henzo Gracie's, MMA Fighters, they all from Gracie Barra. I was like, dude, I'm going to the source. And the founder of Jiu-Jitsu is Carlos Gracie Jr. This is his son. So I'm like, Carlos Gracie Sr., this is his son, Carlos Gracie Jr. So that's what drew me in, man. And, and through, everything, there's politics, there's, division, this person leaving or big, whatever. I've always stuck with Gracie Barra, man. I've always stuck with them. And even now, it's a different type of organization than when I joined. When I joined, it was like a gang, dude. School was more than 30, 40 students. Never was. Class 3 hours. Warm-up is 1 hour of just running, sprinting, shooting, taking takedowns. It was only a competition gym. There was no.
I wonder, is that why
intro class.
A lot of the OGs will show up late because they don't want to do the warm up.
Yeah, they do. But but one thing too, man, like, I'm approaching 30 years of training, man. It gets to the point where you're like, I've done that so many times, man. I just want to get in there and get at it, dude. Like, I want to warm up. Already have in my mind what I want to work on. And I'm going to go work on it. You don't want to, it's sometimes like, hold your hands like this. And I'm like, I've done that for decades, man. So when you schedule your day, you're just like, yeah. Unless I'm competing, I'll do the full everything. Because I'm like, I'm a sponge. I'll take in everything. But if I'm just recreational like I am right now, until I finish school, then everybody's going to get the smoke. I just go to the regular class, man. But that's what drew me in. I was and still am very proud to be a black belt under Carlos Gracie Jr. My lineage, also your lineage, is Carlos Gracie Sr., Carlos Gracie Jr., then us. Like, it doesn't get any closer to the source than that of at least Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And it's something that's it's an accomplishment, man. And
100%. Yeah. A lot of people think that being a black belt or becoming a black belt is just physical, but it's way deeper than that. It's spiritual, it's emotional, it's mental. What do you feel like that journey demanded from you?
It made me have honest conversations with myself, self-reflect, like even now, man, like, as you know, I'm not a big person, so I can be like, I've lifted and took creatine and got up to the 170s or whatever, which didn't look right. But I'm not a big person, and like, say, I'll train with people who go wild, right? They go hard, but I thought I was worse than that. Like, I've injured so many people, man, and like, when I put a choke on people back in the day, it's 100%. There's no like gradual, you gonna tap? Nah, dog. I'm squeezing the life out of you. And the problem was, that's how I was initially trained. I was trained competitive for years. It was hard to deprogram it and have like recreational rolling because everything was competitive. So, but now I had to look into myself and go, one, I can't be too mad at the newer generation or someone who's coming in who's competitive spirit and they're doing that. But then also, man, I had to learn, for me to improve, I have to allow myself to lose to people that I'm better than. I have to put myself in bad positions. And I wasn't okay with that before. Like, if someone even got side control on me, right? And side control, if those of you listening don't do jiu-jitsu, it's basically like think of wrestling pin, where someone just laying on the side and you can't get up. Like, they're your daddy now, right? And so they're on my list. And I know you probably know what I'm talking about, Clint. When you have a thing, you're like, oh, I'm going to get you back, fool. 10
I got one. You already know I got one.
Brother, you got a novel. You have a scroll, not a list. You have a hit scroll. You like, all right. But yeah,
You already know.
So I had to learn to accept it. And I had to learn to allow myself to get in that position, because the only way to learn how to get out of a really, really good side control is allow someone to get you in a really good side control. The only way to learn how to get out of a deep arm bar is sometimes let somebody get you in it and then get out and get your reps in of escaping. Before, I didn't think that way. And then when I got in that position, alarm panics would go off and I'd go extra hard. Now, I don't care what somebody does. So it made me more zen. That I don't know, man. It's weird. A lot of people say it's therapeutic. Jiu-jitsu is therapeutic. I definitely think it is, because it's not just the training that gets your mind off of whatever's going on in the world. It's not just that, but it's the fellowship of the people there. Like, I have different degrees of friends in the gym. I got gym acquaintances. I say what's up. There's some I'll even go to events with. But then I have real close people like you, like Philip De La Monica. Like, we're cool, we're close. There's a spectrum. Everyone there, I consider, hey, we're all in the same team. Gracie Barra has a tendency of saying, hey, we're all one family, which is true, but it's a loose term it's more of a slang when we say family. You know what I'm saying? But it's the like, I have my little inner circle and people, and but it's served like a family for me, because when you're someone who doesn't really have family, it helps out a lot. But the trick is I got to distinguish between like who's really my family and who's just some, fair weather friends. You know what I'm saying? If I end up in the hospital with cancer, they don't consider me. So that's what
you taught me you grasshopper.
Oh, get out of here, dude.
You taught me that one, grasshopper. Grateful. Look, were there ever any setbacks with jiu-jitsu or moments where you were like, hey, you know what? I'm over it. Like, I want to move on, or is it just ingrained in you?
You know what's crazy? I've actually had an internal fight. That's a good question. I've had an internal fight over the years with jiu-jitsu. There was times I thought, is this my God, man? Like, why do I keep going there every week? Why I go there more than a person goes to church? And I had to reconcile with myself. There's times like, I'm going to get a different hobby. But then I can't escape it. And what it is that, one, I like it a lot. And two, I didn't realize it serves so many purposes. If I had a rough day, just even my friends, like, yo, and just cracking jokes and arguing about stupid crap that we cannot have an impact on in the world at all, but arguing about it, training, the fellowship that occurs there, even among people I barely know. We just like, yo, we're stretching, laughing, and cracking jokes. That, plus I'm getting in hour and a half minimum of just cardio and workout. Like, that's way better than going to a gym. And so there's a lot of benefits to it, man. There's a lot of benefits to it, and over the years, man, I've made some very good business connections, friendship connections. I had people write me letters, like when I went into teaching from the jiu-jitsu school. Guys I just trained with. I didn't even consider them, jiu-jitsu friends, but we weren't hanging out, man, write me letters of recommendation. This guy's solid, and, doing whatever, pulling connections. Hey, I might know someone to do this. Like, it's a beautiful thing if you really sit back and look at it, and, there's a lot of advantages to it, man. It's besides just learning how to whip some tail. I think what's his name? J-Rod from the B team. Are they still called the B team?
No, they ain't B team no more. I think distinguished gentleman something. I don't know. I have to look it up.
J-Rod was pointing out. He goes, dude, do you understand what jiu-jitsu, man? This is one of the benefits. A guy could train jiu-jitsu for like a year. Do you see that video when he's talking about that? He says he can manhandle, beat up anyone on the street. Like, if someone doesn't know, especially if someone doesn't know, and he goes, and then people be like, yo, well, I got a gun. He goes, I got a Glock too, dog, and I know jiu-jitsu. But that's what man, like, it's that ability, dude. Like, there's a confidence that comes with it, because you already know. Like, you manhandle people so much larger than you in the gym on a regular basis, going 100%, that you're like, you already know. You already know. You just feel confident, like you're okay handling yourself. But a crazy part that I've noticed too is that you don't go looking for fights. You don't fight all damn week. You know what I'm saying? By the end of the week, I done been in 30, 40 fights, man. I don't want any more fights. I want to relax.
You know, it's funny. I tell people that all the time because people think that people with jiu-jitsu are like hotheads. And there are like your guys that think that they're like ultimate fighters or whatever. But for the most of us, the real ones that are down, like I don't go look. Like I've told people before, like, look, dude, this is not the smoke that you want. And one good thing about cauliflower ear is usually when they see that, they're like, oh, this man knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
We don't want that smoke. But, you know, for me, I'm like, hey, bro, this ain't what you want. Let's just agree to disagree. But you touch me and it's going to be all bad for you.
See, I've been in situations where I've almost gotten a fight. I'm ashamed of this as an adult. I think the last fight I got in was like in my mid-30s, but I couldn't get out of it. I was trying to help someone else. I was trying to break up a fight. They weren't even fighting, just arguing. Someone was trying to bully someone else at a gym, like a exercise gym, you know, like a 24-hour fitness. And the guy getting bullied was at the time, her classmate. And I got into a fight with that cat, and it didn't end well for him. But the thing is, it's weird. I don't even have that dialogue like that. They're like I've been told, like, fool, you know, I'll do this and this and this. Hey, you don't even have to say anything. Just come do it. It's like, I don't even get engaged like that. You know, to come do it then. And when they see
and
that,
where I'm from, we don't even play like that. Like if you say I'm gonna bring harm to you, I am gonna bring harm to you first because there ain't no just walking. Like you're gonna have to show, and they will quick, fast, and in a hurry. That was one of the things I had to get used to moving to Orange County. Was where I'm from, bro. When they say, "Oh, you go," okay. Well, like we're gonna have to just go ahead. You're gonna catch this 2-piece. Why wait until Tuesday when we can do it now?
yeah, yeah. That's how it was, man. Like I was, like even like I think one of the most criminal type of fights, because I got in fights where I think it was a criminal. Like the dude started a fight with me, and I fought. And I came out on top. And I've been fortunate. I'm not the toughest guy in the world at all, as you know. I'm especially hanging out at Irvine, dude, Gracie Barra, Irvine. There's so many MMA champions and crap up in there. You know you're not the toughest. So I'm just saying saying this humbly, but I've never been beat up before. I've always gotten lucky, man. Even with guys who are significantly bigger than me, I've got the first hit in. Well, one, you ball your fist, you're getting hit. If you're arguing me and you ball your fist up by your waist, you're getting rocked. So, but I think one of the most criminal ones I got into, this is back in the day. My son knows about this now, but I beat up his uncle, man. And I beat him up like right at the door of his grandmother's house, right? My son's grandmother's house. And knocked him into the house and then picked him up, banged him in the head to the television like in the movies, threw him in the sink. Like I have a sink there with dishes in it, break the dishes. I just did it like a movie, man. But that's irrational me, you know. I'm not like that anymore. But
did y'all make up?
Yeah. Yeah, it took about a decade. Yeah, the dad was like, you know, they called the police on me, but their dad didn't press charges. He's like, I'm going to kill you myself. I said, come do it. And you got to think, they're wild, dog. This is how wild they are, man. Real life, that dude that I beat up, their dad, he got in a fight with his dad. Him and his dad used to fight, hold hands in the house, right? His dad shot him, dude. His own dad shot him twice. He survived. So that's the kind of the hood, violent environment. Like he was just as messed up as me. Oh, but now we're cool. I was like, dude, I couldn't imagine getting shot by my dad, man. That'd have to hurt your feelings pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip the family reunion on that one.
Yeah, no, dude. When you're in the hood, man, you just see a lot of crimes that most people don't even imagine.
Fathom.
They don't even imagine. Yeah, they don't fathom.
You know, we got an amazing Bible study group, and one of the things on the flip side, one of a million reasons why I respect you is your faith. You know, was there ever a time or breaking point in your life where faith was more than just words, like you actually felt something deeper?
Oh yeah, that's happened a few times, and I've obviously, as you've known, I've fallen backslid from it. But when I first, in my early 20s, man, when I first learned, like truly learned of God, I was raised atheist. My dad hated God. I'm talking, my dad would be like, F God. Like, if there is a God, I got something to say to him. And my dad would go off. But you got to think, my dad had a major PTSD. They didn't call it PTSD back then. They called it shell shock.
Yeah.
He had major shell shock or PTSD from war. Like, my dad, one time he broke down, and because he's had nightmares, and, you know, they were using napalm. He's seen, I think some of the bad things he had mentioned, that he'd seen kids on fire, you know, like, just because they would drop napalm just on civilians. And so he's seen kids on fire, and he's seen like a dead woman still holding her baby who's alive, you know, and stuff like that. And you got to think, he was 18 years old, dude. And so he was very angry with God. But with that said, when I was fully learned about God, I went to seminary, man. And with the seminary, studied Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, the languages of the Bible, dived in deep. You know, the guy Wes, who's in the study, he went to seminary with me. He was actually one of the top performers. And I got heavily involved in evangelism. I did prison ministry. And this is when I felt called by God, man. Like, Wes and I used to go into the hospitals, dude, and people are on breathing machines dying. And we're laying hands on them, praying, you know, just kind of being there as they pass. Like, we were doing a lot of things, man. And, God was doing a lot of things through us. We're in prison, seeing dudes 19 years old with 3 strikes, no chance of getting out. And I was like, no possibility of parole. Like, it was just crazy. This is when they were just throwing away the key on people, man. Nonviolent offenders getting, you know, life, and they're 19 years old. So, long story short, things happened with my son. I never lost my faith in God, never stopped believing in God, but I gave up on ministry because when you do ministry, you get attacked. Like, even now with our Bible study, I do get attacked with temptation is crazy and just other parts of my life. But during that time, and even now, like, I feel God, I always knew God's going to call me back to ministry. And I think that's what he's doing. The Bible study is just for me, at least in my journey, is just the beginning, because I feel that God's calling me into not just evangelism. And don't think evangelism like Benny Hinn or what's his name?
You know,
no.
Cole.
Or those things on TV. You know, like, send your money. You know, they put your hand on the screen and not like that. Yeah, don't you talk about Creflo, you know? I'm just kidding. But not that, man, but a real evangelist goes out and just brings people to God. And then I also feel, as part of that, there's a difference between an evangelist and a pastor. Pastors just be at the church, burying people and all that other good stuff. Evangelists out there, they're out there on the front lines getting it. And I've always felt called to, like, doing things like, you know, delivering people who are demon possessed and stuff like that. But I got to really be right before I take that step. I think I need to be married because I got problems. Or not problem, you know what I'm saying? I need a woman in my life. I need other things. I need to be right to do that, because you really get attacked when you do that. But I feel that evangelism and the spiritual warfare like that, I feel like that's exactly what God's called me to. I don't even get scared. You know, people get scared, like, oh, man, that's just my game. And I enjoy it. I love doing it for God. The apostles did it. And I feel that eventually, you'll see in a few years from now, God's going to call me to that, for sure.
Wow. I could see definitely that. I know the Bible study is something I look forward to every Thursday with our group. You know, is there ever been a time or a moment where you were like, that ain't nothing but God that pulled me through? Now, I know we know that's everything, but was there some time that you were just like, I ain't no...
Yeah, dude. There's times when God's pulled me through and I didn't even know about God. Like, I've been in shootouts with people at age of 15, full-on shootouts. I've had my car riddled with bullets. I've been shot through the windshield. I've been with my sister. One of these days, you'll meet my sister. She'll talk about the time she and I dance, and you can hear gunshots go pop, pop. You know, we're dancing like at a club. I was wanted, man, pretty bad. And it's by the grace of God. Like, I could tell you, I've been in shootouts so bad. There's a guy named Rick Walker. He's my friend on Facebook. If he's listening, I'll tell him to listen to this podcast. Rick remembers this. His name's Rich. It's Richard now. I'm sorry. He goes by Richard. Richard Walker. Richard. But his name in the hood was Pooh, believe it or not. But we were getting shot at. We were at a party that was getting shot up, and it was getting shot up by my own family. They didn't know I was at the party. I could see them, and they're shooting at me, right? And Rick, you don't go, hey guys, you're gonna get lit up. So we turn and we're running towards the back of a house, and there's a fence there. You can see the fence get blown away, the chunks of the fence blow away as we're running to it. And Rick fell down, and he just like froze. And I picked up, I said, let's go, man, we gotta go. We had to run to the backyard, and we were gonna run and hop the fence. But there's this guy in front of us, his name is Sheridan. Sheridan has since been, he was a friend of ours. Sheridan was also murdered about 2 months after this. But Sheridan jumped over the fence before us, and we were on the top of the fence, and a Rottweiler just ate him up, dude. And we're like, it was the craziest night, but that's by the grace of God. Like, I was shot at so directly. You could hear the grounds cracking past us, and you could see it blowing away the fence. You know, those fences just wood.
Yeah.
You know, the fence blowing away, and so that's God, man, 100% God. And I could take it all the way to today, man, where, you know, I had a real bad trauma situation a few years back, and it brought back all this trauma. Like this stuff, I'm telling you, I couldn't even used to talk about it, dude. It was so, you know, you're not supposed to see murder. You're not supposed to see your friend dead at 15 years old. You know, I had a friend of mine, he was killed. He got shot in the chest, and it just, like, you know how shocked everyone was at seeing Charlie Kirk was killed? Yeah. Imagine being around that more than once as a kid with no therapy, no one talking about it, no one cares, you know? So that kind of trauma stacking on top of each other. And I had it all trigger off a few years back. And God had the right support system in place, had you, had my friend Steve, Wes reached out, like all these different people at the same time to help pull me out of it, because I had got to the end of my rope, man. And that's when I got into EMDR. And it literally saved my life, man. That therapy, I'd highly recommend it for anyone who's going through, who has trauma or any kind of thing going on, they just can't deal with something from the past. And it doesn't matter how long the past is, but that's only by God, man. Like I kid you not, man, I was that close to just not being here anymore. And it was a very dark time, but it didn't even feel dark as in depression. It felt dark. It was like the way I explained it. I think I've explained it to you before in a previous conversation. The people 9/11 in those towers, the people that jumped out the towers running from the jet fuel, they weren't thinking like, oh, what's my wife gonna think, you know, or what's my whatever. They just needed relief from that fire that's gonna,
that darkness.
Yes, and that's what it is. That trauma could be that intense, man. I need out. I can't breathe. I can't, you know, it just, I got overrun, man. You know, like they say in the war movies, when the enemy gets inside the base, they said, was it the enemy's inside the gates, man, or whatever is inside the gate? You know, I'm sorry, it's inside the fence. Yeah, or whatever. I've seen those movies, you know, like they're calling for like, where should we bomb? Like, no, the enemy's inside the wire. The enemy's inside the wire, man. They're just on top of us. That's what it felt like, man. And God pulled me out, and I'll never go back there again. And those things that I've been running from my whole life that I always pushed down, and those memories, they're in a healthier place now. Like I could understand, and I mourn the child who I was that saw those things and experienced those things and even participated in those things. I've forgiven myself, or God's forgiving me, but I've never been able to forgive myself. I've forgiven myself. And that's all God, man. It's 100% God.
I like how you said forgiving yourself, because a lot of times it is God, but God holds the door open for us to walk through. And there's a lot of people that don't walk through. There's a lot of people that walk the other way because they can't handle. So, you know, I've always respected you because you've always had such a positive light when you could have went all the way to the opposite side. So, you know, if you were to talk to that version of you back then, what would you say?
I don't know, man. I've thought about that before. I saw a video on TikTok that says, if you could see your 12-year-old self, what would you do? And I was like, I mean, what would you say to him? And I don't know, because it's like it'd be like talking to a kid in a concentration camp through the fence. Words don't, unless I could go and rescue him. I'm like, man, you're about to go through it, dude. Like losing your mother like that, you know, at least for your childhood until you're an adult. Because that's when my mother woke up out of her, you know, came out of her state like that. You would think that that's the worst. And it's like, no, dude, it gets worse. And your best friend you're hanging out with, he's going to get, you know, part of his head blown off, you know, and it's just, and your friend Jason, you're going to see him in a casket, you know, and watch his mom cry, and you're still going to be a kid, you know, and it's too much. I don't even know what I would say, because I don't think there's anything I could say to that kid.
For me, I would tell that kid, you should be proud. You've been through a lot. You've been through.
You're talking about after?
Yeah.
Oh, the kid, like the young kid about to go through it. like advice. I was like, I don't know if I could tell him.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Talking about that kid, give it not necessarily advice, but like, what would you say? Like for me, I would say you're gonna be proud. Like you've been through a lot of stuff that would make a lot of men, women, whatever gender, whatever thing, crumble. And your resilience, your perseverance, your kind, good-hearted person. If you were to go back and tell yourself then, you wouldn't believe it. But looking at you now, you would be, you would.
Yeah, no, I feel you. That makes sense. That makes sense. I kind of have, maybe my view of I needed a rescue. Even after I got out of that, I needed someone to rescue me. That's what I needed. So I kind of look at it through that lens of like, if I told them they did a good job, I would feel good now, me. But that person,
Yeah.
they would have been like, you know,
So for me, I wonder if it was the same for you. I know for me, looking back now at myself, I was running in the streets. I was getting shot at, may or may not have been returning fire. Like all of these things that I was doing, I think was my attempt or my way to try to get now, looking back, trying to get somebody to help me. And then mixed with a little bit of, I just don't care whether I live or die. Do you feel
yeah.
like that was the same for you?
Yes. Well, the violent part, you just remind me. So can I can I
Yeah,
answer a
of
question?
course.
If I
Of
bring it
course.
back? It's by the grace of God that there's someone I never even told. My ex-wife used to be my best friend, and she was the closest person to me for 14 years. And I never told her this, never in her life. And the only person I told first was my sister after going through all the EMDR therapy and I was able to heal.
Yeah.
And but I think it's God that protected me when I did attempt to take somebody's life. I put them on, they were on life support, but they survived. And I thank God for that. You know, I don't know how I would feel about that and about myself if that person had passed away. Because I tried several times to get different people, and that's probably him is probably the one I got the most, the best, not the best, the most efficiently.
Yeah.
And that used, dude, I had to bury that deep in my psyche. But just to answer your question about a time when it was God, that was God allowing him to live, because allowing him to live is allowing me to live. Like I'm
Mm.
attached to that. But going back, like you're saying, my mindset back then was I didn't have a compass, man. I didn't know. Only thing I could say is not only did I not care if I lived or died, I did not want to live. It wasn't suicidal. I didn't think, oh, I'm gonna take my own life, but I didn't want to live. It was actually, I remember thinking like, why did my parents have me? You know, like, why are you gonna have me and leave, dude? Like what? Like I hated that. I hated that I existed. And and I felt like that for years. You know, I just hated it, man. I hated that I existed. And so it's a weird headspace to be in, but it's like, 'cause, you know, people got dying of cancer, praying to God let them live. I'm like, I didn't even want to be here in the first place. I didn't sign up for this. But with the violence, I would just say, dude, like the only thing I could look back at now through 2020 through more of a healed place is that it's just demonic, man. It's just demonic. Like if someone did something to me, no matter what it is, not no matter, like if you break in my house trying to kill me, obviously I gotta shoot back or whatever. There's no reason to take somebody's life, man. There's no reason. It's stupid, and there's environmental influence from the music to movies to whatever, and when you don't have a male role model in your life or any kind of adult structure, you just kind of become what's around you. Like remember when Dr. Dre came out with that album, The Chronic, all of a sudden all my friends are smoking weed. And then when Snoop started talking Dizzle, Izzle, all my friends and all the people talk, like, there's an influence there that people don't realize. What you put in your mind, dude, absolutely influences you. And I had to deprogram. Even when I started going to church as an evangelist, we were dating first, my fiance, who became my wife, who became my ex-wife. I was like, no, don't buy. She bought me a shirt that had some red on it. I go, get that out of here. I still had that in my head. Like, I'm trying to go to church and be an evangelist, and I wouldn't wear red. Like, it was that ingrained. I had to deprogram.
Let me ask you a question. Do you still do that today?
Red?
No,
With color?
yeah.
With gang stuff?
Yeah, yeah. Like, so I'll give you a for instance. I always, in my mind, think like, okay, what am I gonna wear today? And so I'm from the South, so like, I've got the Brazil jersey. I got the, hold on, let me show you. You got to have the matching shoe. Like, you got to have everything. So,
Why are you
like,
flexing on me, dog? Why are you flexing on me
I,
like that?
so I think to myself, anytime, like, for instance, my Mallory's family, they're big time Crips. And so, like, anytime I think, like, I'm going to their house, their neighborhood, or whatever, like, I have to be careful with what I wear. Do you still do that to this day? Because I still do that.
In a different way, not like that. When I'm like, I could tell who's real and who's not. Again, when you're around that, you could tell who's walking around trying to be it and who's not. So I could tell that. I have a habit of looking at hands. So when I want to make sure, I got to see hands. Like I need to, when I'm walking, I'm looking at hands. I'm looking around the waistline to see if they have a gun. Posture. But yeah, I'm looking to see who's high. I just do analysis. It's not as bad as before. I'd be ultra vigilant where I'd walk in and I'm like, hey, what's up? When I'm saying what's up to someone, I'm inspecting. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? And I'm looking in their eyes. Okay, they're a little high. Yeah, who's he with? Who's that? Who's this? Like, I need to know all this stuff. But now, like, unfortunately, I've had some friends pass away from the neighborhood, and I've had went to funerals. No, I just casual, but I am strapped to the gills. Like, I have extra magazine. I have my 9 handgun on me, and at the funeral. Because it's put it this way, one of my friends, he had passed away a few years ago. His name's Casey. He's a good friend of mine. Casey's not even a gang member. Casey was a DJ, rapper, cool dude. Some stuff he got happened to him, later in life. And the funeral before his, because the funeral home was in the hood. The funeral before his got shot up. So I'm at his funeral and there's bullet holes in the wall, dude. I kid you not, man. I kid you not, dude. There's bullet holes. They try to paste some of them, but the walls were like kind of like this dark, kind of sand color, like a dark beige. But then you have the white pasty. They had to wait for it to dry. What do you call it? The putty, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Goes in. But yeah, so I'm in there strapped, man, and I sit in the back. So I was like,
I still to this day, I tell people when you've been through so much, like ingrained. So it's kind of like if you ever seen the movie Terminator, and like when he's looking around, like it'll pop up like 38-year-old male or like pedophile or like whatever.
yeah.
My brain still, like when I go in places, I'm like, dun, 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 and I'm reading. Like I hope maybe one day, I'll get rid of that.
That will save your life, man. That will save your life. I think that's a smart thing to have. I think law enforcement people learn that because you have to be aware of your environment. That's how people end up going viral on TikTok and WorldStar because they walk around, hey man, and the dude's already posturing to punch you. Nah, man, like
Not today,
yeah, dudes. That's. Yeah. So you really have to pay attention. Yeah, you just have to pay. Yeah, but no, I'm trying to think of those tendencies. It's just, I think that just analyzing people and paying attention to the environment is something that never went away. I wasn't born like that. I had to learn, from 100%. Seeing bad things happen to people. So, yeah, dude, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of stupid stuff that caused me to learn. But and I stay armed, man. Like not that I'm paranoid. I'm not armed all the time. But if I have to go back to the hood, yeah, dude, there's no way because I know how things could get. You have people fragile egos, and they don't know how to shoot a gun, and they're gonna, it's and the police, like when you have funerals like that, or in the hood, police like, oh, we'll put a police car, unmarked vehicle there for safety, but the car's outside, dude. By the time he comes in there, that whoever's inside is gonna light everybody up. Which happened. And I want to say the funeral home's name afterwards. I could show you. It made the news.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it before Bible study.
Yeah. I don't want to bash the business, man, but it's not their fault.
Let me ask you, how do you hope that your story inspires others that are struggling now?
I hope that at least provides some type of blueprint, to how to, on what to do. Like, I wish I had someone to mentor me. Like say with your kids, right? You teach your kids, like they have a problem at school or Or say someone's teasing them, you tell your kid, hey, who cares what they say? Make new friends, right? I didn't have that simple mentorship. We didn't have.
No.
We were just like, what do we do? You know what I'm saying? And
anger's the easiest emotion, and we're taught anger before anything else.
Yeah, and it works. You knock somebody up, the message is out. Don't make fun of Clinton, right? Right? Yeah, dude. They don't mess with you. That's how you. But those little things, like, I hope that my life could be a blueprint that someone could look at. Not that my life is, not that I'm anyone of significance, but if they decide to look into my life, they can go, oh man, well, that worked for him. Maybe there's hope for me because I'm similar. I have a similar, situation, or I have a similar traumas. I have similar, things.
So just to clarify, significance I know just for me, you've saved me time and time again. And you're more of a light, and it's hard because we grew up the way we grew up for us to see our value and worth, but your value and worth, you're a light to a lot of people. And it's hard for you to see, but you're a light to a lot of people. And I know for me, I appreciate you. Someone's listening right now. And you talked before about being in a very dark season. If somebody's in a very dark season, what's one piece of encouragement that you would want them to hear from you?
Well, a few things. One is that nothing lasts forever. It might feel like forever, but nothing lasts forever. When you're in it, it feels like, say, if you're overwhelmed by something, whatever it is in your life, a day. I'll just use an example for people listening who's had their heart broken before. When you're heartbroken, one day seems like a year, right? Like, when's the sun going to go down so I can go to sleep and stop thinking about this woman? Then you go to sleep and have dreams about her. When's the day going to start so like you're just running from yourself, right?
Running, sprinting,
crying. Yeah, so wait, can I say one thing real quick, dude? Yeah. I was talking to John, Professor John, he works for the IBJ. Yeah. We were talking like, this is yesterday. We were talking like, man, isn't it great, man, how Jiu-Jitsu just gets your mind off of things, and you could come here because he works hard there at the, he actually has very good work ethic. He works very hard, and I said, yeah, but there's times in Jiu-Jitsu, man, you got stuff so sad, like you can't even training Jiu-Jitsu, you're thinking about it. And he goes, really? And I told him about the time when I found out my wife was having an affair. Not cheating, not going out and getting drunk and having a booty call on accident or whatever. Full-on affair, right? And I said, I tried to come to Jiu-Jitsu, and I was in line, and I remember Professor Philip walked up and he looked at me and goes, hey, Chigre, are you all right? And dude, like, I just started weeping right there. I walked out of the gym to the back fence where the train track is.
Yeah.
Held onto the fence, no joke. I cried for like 2 hours straight, man. I couldn't stop. I said, man, Jiu-Jitsu couldn't save me on that one, dude. But it passed. So I'm saying, anyone who's listening, nothing lasts forever. Nothing. Not even giant kingdoms like Rome, ancient Rome, or, whatever you see going on in the world. Everything passes, and all the trauma that you've been through is past. And there's people that have went through what you've went through. And I'm speaking to people who may be listening that are in this space. One, it's you can make it out, and you will make it out, and it will pass. It's not going to stay feeling like it's on 10 all the time. And seek help. There are solutions. Science and technology is so advanced now. Like, I did EMDR, which is a drug-free approach. It worked better than, at that point, I've already done over a decade or half my adult life doing talk therapy. I got in, they hooked me up to this machine and got my brain fired off, and it just gave me all these breakthroughs fast, immediate, per session, not like dragged out. So I would just say, I know it's hard to think about people around you, like, because you're in that spot too. You don't think about other people. People go, well, who were they thinking about before they ended it? Nobody. They're thinking about jumping out that building because that jet fuel, in the World Trade Center, that's what they're thinking about. So try to focus on people around you, because whatever pain you have, if you do hurt yourself, you're going to dump it on the people around you, and they're going to have to carry that burden for the rest of their life. I'm unfortunate where I have a friend of mine, I won't say his last name, I'm afraid his first name. He's a blue belt from Gracie Barra. His name's Andrew. I used to give him a lot of privates and stuff, and he took his own life in 2018. And I was the last person to speak to him. Talk to him, hey, bro, just checking on, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. He's like, I can't afford Jiu-Jitsu anymore. I was like, yo, I'll cover the bill. I'll get you. Worked it out. He got off the phone with me 3 hours later hung himself. And I went to his funeral and everything, and he had a 5-year-old daughter, a 4-year-old daughter, and everything. And it was just like, it wasn't it his I saw his dad. It was so bad, dude. I saw his dad ask, is he going to heaven? And the guy who was officiating the funeral was like, yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if he went to heaven or not, right? It's what if he asked me that? Would I have said the same thing? And I'm like, I have to. It's mercy, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's merciful to withhold any theological debates of who knows, because the Bible says thou shalt not kill, and he did this, and that was one of the, I'm getting sidetracked, but that was one of the most like Christ-like moments I've ever seen, and one of the most painful moments of watching a parent. His biggest concern is that my son go to hell for this. And so bringing it back circle is that what do you call it? I would say, for someone who's been it myself, been pushed to the brink like that, you can get out and you can seek help. I would recommend EMDR if it's trauma related, or there's a lot of free resources. And if you don't know what to do, use ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT about what sources. There's always something. Or reach out to Clinton here. Clinton knows a lot of things. Write him on social media and say, hey man, I'm going through this. Do you have any advice or any resources you could provide me? And maybe they could reach out to you, and you could just, because
of course, anytime. Yeah,
because it's a serious thing, and once you do that, there's no coming back, man. Like once you take that final step to not delete yourself, you can't take it back, man. And like for me, it used to even scare me that I went that dark, but now I look back at it and I understand what it is, and there is a spiritual component too, which I won't go into because this podcast will go forever, but which I don't mind, but I don't know how much time you have, but it's going to be okay is what I'm saying. It's going to be okay, and there's people around that will help you, and the world's not a dark place. It's not a dark place forever, dude. Everyone, even in the Bible, even Jesus went through the grind where he's like, God, if it's your will, take this from me. Like, he's been under that level of pressure. Yeah. So everyone's been there, and you're talking to Clinton and I, who are both survivors of that those types of situations. And we're both here, and look at us. We're happy. We're doing our thing. And the same could happen to you. And I would also emphasize one thing: give your life to God. I don't mean to say it. I don't mean to sound like a cliche or anything like that. But there's healing there. There's healing. You don't have to jump into the Bible or jump into some church. You can just literally hit your knees and say, God, even though my brain and my psyche is saying one thing I don't believe, or this don't make sense, say, God, please ask God to reveal himself to you, and he will. But if you sincerely reach out to God, he'll reveal himself to you. And I've seen him do it to many people. And that right there is one thing that I think plays a major role, because once you get your soul and your spirit replenished with the Holy Spirit, with something that's with a positive entity, because everybody believes in ghosts, but no one believes in the Holy Ghost, right? Like everyone's like, oh man, don't go in that house, it's haunted, or the ghost shows, right? But they go, what about God and his spirit? I don't know. Like, but you believe in the negative, but you don't believe in the positive. Even this guy, I can't remember his name right now. There's a big atheist. They used to go on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he debates people. He's an atheist. Sam Harris.
Yeah.
And he believes in ghosts, but he don't believe in God. He believes in ghosts. He wouldn't even stay in it. Yeah. There was a hotel he's supposed to stay in. He said it was haunted. Dude, he doesn't mess around. But he doesn't believe in God. Oh, that's what I'm saying. No, but see, that's spiritual warfare at its finest, where you just,
I agree.
It's lying right in your face.
If you, by listening, wants to come into our Bible study, let us know. We'd love to have you. I got to vet you first, make sure you ain't going to come in there and cause a commotion. But
no, but just so you guys know, it's free. It's open like that. But I get what you're saying. Like, there's someone I can't let in because he has a drug problem, and he'd be saying stuff that's off the chain, man. Like, it'd be offensive to everybody.
And
dude.
It's not that I'm coming from a place of judgment. It's just coming from a place of, we want everybody to be comfortable and everybody to be respectful to everybody in the class. And some folks just ain't gonna do that,
Yeah. If they're intoxicated, for sure. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, there's this guy, he's high all the time. I'm trying to get him in, but even he's high, man, he says the most bizarre, things. I'm like, So
that's a wrap for today's episode of the Front Porch Chronicles. Kenny, man, I can't put into words how grateful I am for you and for your brotherhood. You've always been there for me, and I truly appreciate you, and I'm always there for you as well.
Thank you.
And anybody that's going through a tough time, like Kenny said, ask God to come into your life. If you want to come to our Bible study, slide in the DMs. We'll have a conversation and go from there. If you ever have any thoughts of self-harm, please reach out and I'll help you get any recommendations and help you with that as well. Until next time, keep showing up, keep fighting forward and fighting a good fight. Peace, love, and blessings to you all.